You're listening to This Is My Side Hustle. The tips, tools, and advice you need to optimize your life live here. If you're looking to unlock the secrets to additional income by engineering your choices around your ideal lifestyle, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and join us as we unpack unconventional ideas and methods to give you more freedom and flexibility. Let's escape the rat race together and live with intention. Let's learn how others are making it pay with their side hustles. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of the This Is My Side Hustle podcast. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I originally was planning on having a guest on the show, but he didn't show up. And I told everybody that he was going to be on the show, and I was all excited, and I wanted to promote it, and I was really excited to talk to him about how he turned $1,000 into $25,000. But I'm going to assume the best, that he got caught up in something else, or that my lack of reminder might have caused it. So I'm hoping to get him on the show in the future and connect with him again. But I did want to record today anyway. I have a very limited schedule lately, and I need to get podcasts in when I can. So this one is actually going to be a video and audio podcast. So if you go to the podcast page at makingitpaytostay.com and look for episode 11, it should be makingitpaytostay.com/11. You'll be able to see the slides I use for this presentation. I will also embed a video. And then if you're listening to the podcast, you're just going to hear the audio. So I'm going to do my best to explain things a little better about what the slides say. But what this is from is I'm taking it directly from the presentation I gave for the International Virtual Assistants Association, which I will put a link in the show notes to that. As a virtual assistant, I joined that association several years ago, and it's a great place for monthly trainings, weekly trainings, all kinds of resources, discounts, and you also get access to their request for proposals. So potential clients can go on there and request proposals from virtual assistants, and you can submit your proposal. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the presentation I gave on May 7th of 2019. You're probably listening to this. If you're listening to it when it first comes out, I believe this episode will be published on June 5th of 2019. And of course, if you're listening later on, well, now you know the dates of when this is from. So if you do join IVAA, which is IVAA.org, and I'll put a link again in the show notes, you can access this and get the question and answer. There's 10 minutes at the end where I do questions and answers from people that want me to explain things further. So you will actually get the full benefit of seeing the entire presentation on there, but it is for members only. So this is going to be a little bit different, considering this is on a podcast, and I'm just going to roll with it. Okay. Let's get started. This is all about how to systematize your business. And as a business owner of several companies, and as a virtual assistant who helps clients create systems in their business, this is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and I think it's really important for every single business owner to know. So there's me. I'm Sherry Stotler. One of my companies is iAssist Virtually. That is my virtual assistant business. You can find it at iassistvirtually.com. I'm coming up on my 4th year of this now. I can't even believe it. I actually created my company. I made it official. I registered it and all of that in October of 2015. But I started as a virtual assistant with another company, and that was in May of 2015. So I have been a virtual assistant for 4 years. Prior to that, I worked from home occasionally, kind of doing similar things, but it was kind of before virtual assistants were well known. And here's a quote I want to read to you. It's from Michael Gerber, who wrote The E-Myth Revisited, which is a book I highly recommend, and I will put a link in the show notes to that book. It's all about creating a business that can be duplicated and not reinventing the wheel. So he talks a lot about the McDonald's franchise, and he goes into a lot about how franchises can be duplicated everywhere because they have some very, very specific systems in place and they do things the same way all the time. And I feel like that's necessary if you're going to be a business owner and not constantly be working in your business. If you've got systems set up in place, you can hand it off to somebody else if you need to go on vacation or if you need to bring on a team member to start taking things over for you. So let me go ahead and read this quote by Michael. He says, "Organize around business functions, not people. Build systems within each business function. Let systems run the business and people run the systems. People come and go, but the systems remain constant." And I'm sure if you have worked anywhere, you know that there are usually problems that happen when anybody decides to quit or move on or retire and somebody else new comes in. There's always this huge ordeal with making sure that the new person knows what to do. But if you have proper systems and standard operating procedures in place, you can lessen the burden that turnover creates in a company. And systems are key. You can measure your progress, but only if you track everything. So you really can't track things if you're not measuring it. You really need to focus on every little task that goes into running your entire business and create systems for them. So why systematize? Well, if your business is organized by systems, you can improve processes and streamline your time. Everyone across the organization knows the proper procedures and expectations. New clients are onboarded seamlessly, and new team members can be brought up to speed quickly while tasks and timelines stay on track. There does not need to be chaos when somebody leaves the organization or a team member decides to quit or you bring on a new client or a client leaves or a client needs different tasks involved. It doesn't need to be chaos if you have proper systems in place. So one of the first things you need to do in order to start creating your systems is to create shared folders for organizational hierarchy. What this means is you use technology such as Dropbox or Google Drive or Box.com, and you start setting up the very basics. You've got to build on a foundation. So some of the main folders I have are proposals and onboarding, and then I have subfolders in there. So every single time I send out a proposal or I talk to any lead about anything, I give them their very own subfolder under my proposals folder, because you never know if a client will come back to you. And even if they don't go with you right away, they might come back to you in a few months and say, hey, let's do this again, or let's work together now. I'm ready. I always keep everything from the beginning based on the dates and the clients. And then I have onboarding for each of them. So I have proposals. I have every single client that I send to gets their own folder. So it's their name or their company where I have under the proposals. And then inside of there, I have onboarding. So if I've brought on a client, I've got all of their contracts, orientation, training, passwords, project management boards and lists, anything that has to do with their information, I've got in a folder as well. And then they also have subfolders for marketing or events, financial information and invoices, technology, schedule, anything that I need to know for them, I can all find under their specific folder. And I should have probably done a screenshot of what this looks like, but I didn't. So I'm going to try to explain the best I can just with audio. So just imagine steps, okay? If you know how when you open up a folder, and then there's another folder under that, or several folders under that, and then those folders have several folders. It kind of ends up looking like steps. So I try to also make sure I name each of the folders with the client name so that I can go into Dropbox or Google Drive, search for their name or their company name, and find everything I need all in one place. Some tools and resources that I've already mentioned you can use for this. Definitely cloud storage. I do store certain things that aren't critical if they get lost or wiped out on my hard drive, but most everything I store in cloud storage, and I actually store them in multiple places just in case. You really cannot be too sure. So some of the cloud storage options I use are G Suite, and that's Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms. In fact, I use Google Forms, and I will link to this later, to ask my potential new clients more about themselves and more about their business, so I have a better idea of how I'm going to serve them when I get on a discovery call with them. But G Suite, Dropbox, Box, OneDrive, they essentially all do the same thing. So whatever you're maybe most familiar with or most comfortable with, try one of those. Some of them are free. Some of them have a nominal fee based on how much storage you use, but definitely take a look at them and pick one or two or three. The more you know, the better you are, but I suggest keeping most of your stuff in one spot. It just helps save time. And then for onboarding, you can use all kinds of tools like Google Forms or Jotform, HelloSign or DocuSign, so that you can have your clients sign contracts quickly. Trello or Asana for project management and creating boards for them and possibly their clients. Teamwork or Basecamp also does the same thing. Teamwork is really comprehensive and it's good if you are running a company with team members who are all remote or at least need access to remote information and have multiple clients who then have multiple clients. Teamwork will really encompass pretty much everything you need. It definitely has a bit of a learning curve. And if you're not organized when you first set it up, it will be a disaster. I did work with a client one time inside of Teamwork, and things weren't well organized and everything was all over the place, and it was kind of a nightmare. But it wasn't my place at that time. My job function was not going in and saying, can I please redo this for you? Looking back, I probably would have just suggested it anyway, but I felt uncomfortable saying it at that time. And Dubsado is a good place to onboard clients. You can send proposals straight through there. You can invoice through Dubsado. There's all kinds of functions there. So check out all of those things. I will put links in the show notes to each of these. See what kind of feels good to you, what systems you like, and then pick one, stick with it so that you can just rinse and repeat in the future. And then other tools and resources you're going to use in your business. If you have any kind of online business or service business, you're going to have a payment processing system. So think PayPal, Stripe, Square. You could use Venmo, but you have to be careful with Venmo because you're going to need to make sure that you're properly tracking the reports for that for tax reporting purposes. And then Canva and Photoshop to create graphics and images. You're probably going to need to do that if you are a virtual assistant or a social media manager or just have a blog or anything. You really need to know how to create at least basic graphics. And then Google Calendar is what I use to sync everything. So I can sync my clients' Google Calendars with mine if they want, or just my own family stuff going on. I can share my schedule with my clients too, so that if they need to talk to me or get on a video call with me, they can see when I'm busy and when I'm not, but they don't see the details. So I can send it to them and they can see, okay, you're busy these days, these times, but they don't necessarily see what I'm doing. You know, they don't know all of the details. And the same thing when they share it with me. I don't need to know every detail of their life. Like they have a gynecologist appointment or something, I can just see that they're busy and they won't obviously be able to hop on a phone call with me or something. And then other things that I use are password protection things. So if you have to somehow manage something for someone else on their behalf, any kind of product, or if you need to let your own team members have access to your stuff, I highly recommend using something like LastPass or 1Password, because I do not suggest ever giving people your actual username and actual password unless you trust them. That call is up to you. I would never do it for something super personal like banking information. But if they're managing your Facebook and you're comfortable letting them have that's your call. I like to just manage everything through there so that I don't have to remember a whole bunch of different stuff. And so I can just go to the field, I click on the little box, and it pulls up all of the LastPass usernames and passwords, and it fills it for me, but I don't have to know them. So that helps me save on brain power. I'm not carrying all this information that's not really critical that I know. And I can access it from pretty much any browser, any computer. So heaven forbid my computer crashed. I could grab one of my kids' Chromebooks, log into LastPass through Chrome, and then I would still be able to do what I need to do. They also have apps for your phone or for your tablet. So it's just really convenient in case you are managing a whole bunch of people's information and a whole bunch of passwords. And it's just nice to have on a personal level as well. And then other things, I do not like to use Slack or Voxer or WhatsApp, but those are good communication tools for teams and for teams with clients, and then those clients have clients. It's a good communication tool for sure. I'm more of an email person. I do not like being constantly pinged. It makes me, it kind of drives me crazy because I feel as if I have to respond right away and I might not be able to. And so it bothers me if I see a notification or somebody's expecting something. But Slack and WhatsApp is kind of cool because you can have different areas going on. You can have different threads, I guess you could say. Voxer is awesome because it's kind of like a walkie-talkie. So you can leave little voicemail texts. Although you can also do that just via text. You can leave a voicemail text to someone. I'm just not big on texting my clients and going back and forth constantly. It makes me feel like I'm on call. But that's up to you. I mean, it is a tool and a resource to use. If you are a big communicator, you might enjoy those tools. So definitely check them out. Okay. One of the reasons you want to have systems in place, even if you think you're only going to be a one-person show forever and you don't want to build a team and you only want to do things one-on-one with people, it's still good to plan for growth because you never know. It's better to be prepared in advance and from the beginning than scramble to set up systems when you need them the most. And I just saw I have a typo on this slide, and I never even noticed it before, but oh well, what are you going to do? Okay, and track your time. I use Toggle, so it's not Toggle, it's Toggle.com, to keep track of every single second I spend in my business and on my business. Team members should be doing this as well. Whether you pay people by the hour or by the package, it doesn't matter. Whether my clients pay me by the hour or just by my tasks I do, doesn't matter. But I still like to know how long things are taking me all the time. So every single time I do something, I still track my time according to my clients. And when I'm working on my own business inside of Toggle, and I put a description. That way I can see over a year how much my quote unquote hourly wage is actually going up because I'm getting more done in less time. So if you charge by packages and you charge basically for what you can do for someone, the better you get, the higher your hourly wage goes up, because the better you get, the less time it's going to take you. And now I can see things, a year ago, I was getting paid maybe $57, $60 an hour. And now it's more like 75 to 80. So it's not that I'm doing, doing any less or anything. It's just that I'm doing it a lot faster because I've implemented systems and automation in my business, and I batch things. So now I'm getting paid the same, and I'm spending less time doing it. And share this with your team members as well. Even if you pay your team members for their packages instead of, that sounded bad. Please don't pay your team members for their packages, but you know what I mean. If you pay your team members according to the tasks that they do instead of for their time, they'll be more likely to get better and better because they know it will only benefit them as well. They'll get paid the same for spending less time on it. So tell your team members to do this too and encourage them. Like, look, I bet this is taking you less time than it used to. And it will also free up more time that they can offer more services. So it's definitely a great thing to do. You can do it in your personal life as well. There are apps that you can download on your phone that will spend time in the background tracking how long you're on your phone and what time you're spending on and, you know, what you're doing. So how long you're on Facebook, how long you're on social media, how long you're doing something productive, how long you're checking emails, and it'll give you a report at the end of the week and tell you this is how long you spent on it. So if you find out at the end of the week that you were on Facebook for 10 hours the past week and you weren't on Facebook scheduling things for people, you were just scrolling, then you've literally just thrown away 10 hours of your life, which is kind of timely because this past weekend, so you're listening to this in June, but I'm recording this on, May 14th. This past weekend, I spent hours and hours going through Facebook and downloading all the pictures I had and all of my data and information for the past 9 years onto my hard drive. And then I moved it all into Dropbox so it didn't take up space on my hard drive because I got sick of Facebook. And I felt like this for the past, I don't know, at least 6 months. As a social media manager, I also run ads for people on Facebook. I really didn't like what I was seeing as far as the information that I was getting and the information I had access to on people. That was like very detailed, very personal things people are interested in. And I don't even know like how accurate it is, you know, like I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt too. But I was sick of it. And honestly, it brought out the worst in me. I would get on Facebook and I would see things that people would post that just annoyed me. And I didn't even like Instagram for like the longest time until I realized that there's not really arguments going on Instagram too often. I'm sure you can find them, but it's just not the same as on Facebook. And I would post all kinds of crap on Facebook and I was like, why am I posting this? It was like compulsive. It was like a weird thing. And it just made me aware of how my brain was not functioning at its best when I was on there, and how advertisers really were infiltrating every area of my life, even though I am one. So what I did was I took an account I had with my business email address, and I created a Facebook page, and the only friend I put on there is my husband, so that in case, you know, heaven forbid something happens to me, which we'll get onto later in this slideshow, that he could access my information and shut things down for me or like disconnect my account from my clients. And I now manage everything, all of the pages for my clients and for my businesses in Business Manager, but I have zero newsfeed. I went into my settings and I made everything private. I disallowed all of the different ads. And it's actually been so wonderful. I can't even tell you. No, I'm not telling you have to do this. If you still love Facebook and you're okay with basically being spied on, that's your choice. But it's happening. I mean, you are the product for Facebook, and I'm just not comfortable with it. That being said, Facebook does own Instagram, so who knows how long I'll be on there even, but whatever. It's just not the same. I don't feel the same invasion of privacy. I also don't feel this compelling need to comment on people's stuff or get annoyed or even like put things of my own that's like totally not necessary. So moving on after that long tangent, when you are doing things in your business, and I suggest taking an entire month, at least a week to do this. So every day you do something, record everything using Zoom or Loom. So right now I'm recording this presentation on Zoom, and I like it because what I can do with it when it's done is I have the audio and video combined, and then I can just pull out the video and I can just pull out the audio. It's awesome. So you can do screen shares, screen presentations, you can meet with people, but I use Zoom to just basically go through and talk as I'm doing every single process in my business from first thing Monday morning to end of the day Friday. And then I pull those up. I download them and then I upload them to cloud storage. And then I take them and I rewatch them. And this is going to take you some time, especially if you have an established business. If you're just getting started, this is great that you know all of this in advance and can start doing it at the beginning. But anytime I then record something, I create a document of typed directions and screenshots of the videos. And then every process gets its own SOP, which means Standard Operating Procedures folder. And then I can share it with appropriate clients or team members later on. So if I'm going on vacation and I tell my clients, hey, I'm going on vacation, I know you don't know how to do this, but here is this video and document showing you exactly what to do step by step, then it's really not a big deal. Now, some people might think, well, why would you show them that? Because then they're just going to do it on their own. Honestly, my clients are so busy. They don't have time to do things on their own. That's why they have me do it. But if they needed to, I want them to know, like, why would I hide that from them? I don't need to be not sharing information that I do in their businesses. Same with team members. Like, let your team members learn everything. Let them have access to this as training videos. Give them access to your entire general SOP folder and say, learn all of this. The more you know, the more you can start doing. If you have time for, I can pay you for more. It's just a win-win all around. And then I also attach every procedure to a project management board or list that the process corresponds to. So if I am creating images in Canva, resizing them, creating content and copy, and then scheduling them in Buffer or scheduling them in Facebook or Hootsuite or whatever, I will record all of those in separate processes, and then I attach a link from Google Drive or Dropbox directly to a card in Trello that it corresponds to. And then that card has a due date and all of that. Now, I don't watch these things anymore because I know what I'm doing now, but it's there in case somebody else needs it. And it helps not only to have boards and systems for your clients and team members, but also for yourself. So I have like a private board, and it's called Weekly Agenda, and it has all of the things that I have to do every single week. Now, obviously, other things come up, but every repeatable thing that I have to do every single week or every other week, I even have a list over on the right-hand side that you can't see in a screenshot for monthly tasks. But I have due dates on them. I have attachments. I have brief descriptions. And this is for me to know what I need to do every day, every week, and what's repeatable. I like Trello. That's what I use. That's what you see a picture of, because I can create tasks on repeat. I can add people to the board or not. This one, like I said, is my private board. But it just gives you an idea of how easy it is to see what you've got going on for the week. Here's a little productivity tip for you. When you're setting up or tweaking existing systems, consider batching similar tasks together. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink. The reason for this is it allows you to get in the flow and get more done in less time. So if you're focused on doing one thing at a time, but you do it for the entire month, then you're not every single day going back and forth, opening up that software, starting from scratch, getting distracted. So for example, I do all social media graphics and corresponding copy on the same day at the same time every week. So Mondays, I will do the entire next week's content and copy for all of my clients, all of the graphics, everything, and then I schedule them. So I do it all at one time. I'm in that same zone of thought, and I can get it done a lot quicker than if I did like one day, the next day, the next day, because I'm already in the flow. I'm already thinking that way. Or create a month's worth of blog posts on one day and then schedule them all for a week apart. So if you post on your blog weekly, you can sit down and write 4 blog posts in 2 or 3 hours. Just bang it out, schedule them, get them ready, and then you don't have to think about it for another month. And this saves me a lot of time as well. And automation is great. So after you've recorded everything and you've gone through all of your tasks for an entire week for yourself, for your clients, examine every process and brainstorm how you could automate anything, and then automate it, anything you can. So some software that I use to do this is Zapier and IFTTT, which is if this, then that, to piece automations together where they might not exist otherwise. I'm just going to warn you, when you go to check out Zapier and IFTTT, you're going to go down a rabbit hole of all kinds of things in your life you can automate. And you're going to go crazy, and it's awesome. Crazy in a good way. So definitely check those out. I'll link to those in the show notes. But you can create automations for practically everything. So you're not going back and having to remember to do something. If there's a software that can do it for you, like, take advantage of it. That's what they're there for. And then review systems every quarter for efficiency and additional automations that save time. You might, think you're doing something as best you can, and then a couple months down the line, you've listened to a podcast, or you've read a book, or you've heard of somebody else talking about something on social media that would possibly save you time. Go back and look at things and think, okay, what do I know now that I didn't know several months ago that I could then apply to this process? It's also good to update standard operating procedures every 6 months or so, because sometimes they change. Sometimes you don't have to do certain things anymore. Sometimes you have changed something in it. So definitely do that as well. Don't forget to go back and update things every once in a while. Another productivity tip I have for you is to consider chronology. So chronology basically is referring to if you're a morning person, an evening person, or a middle of the day person. When are you most productive? When are you at your peak performance? When do you recover? When are you kind of in a slump? This really varies from person to person. So for example, I'm a morning person. So in the morning, I'm at my peak performance. That's when I work on systems, things that require a lot of brain power, strategy. That's when I get my best work done, and that's when I do most of my client work, because I want to give them the best. So I get up very early, I start work, and then by noon, I'm getting into my slump. So that's when I work on admin work. So administrative things like emails and monotonous, busy work. That's when I do those things during my slump, when I'm not really feeling at my peak anymore. My brain's worn down from my morning work, and I work on the stuff that doesn't really require a lot of thought. It's just stuff I have to do. And then creative work, such as brainstorming new ideas, creating images, and graphics, should be done during your recovery period. So that's kind of when creative things come into play. You really have to know yourself well and pay attention to yourself over the course of a week, and realize when you do things at your best. And then do this for your clients. Tell them when you work best, and ask them, is it okay if I do most of my things for you in the morning, because this is when I'm at my peak? Or vice versa. Ask your clients, hey, when are you most productive? When should I send you things that you need to do, but you really don't need to focus on? And when should I send you things to start brainstorming on, like new ideas or new content? So this is proven to be very effective for me as far as getting more done. If you have clients, you work in a service business of any kind, consider their current processes and find bottlenecks. So this presentation was given to virtual assistants, but if you're a freelancer of any kind and you have clients and you interact with them on a daily basis, or if you're a project manager, ask them about their pain points. See where else you could help them out. What do they procrastinate on? How are they struggling? Make suggestions for improving efficiency and implementing systems for them. If this doesn't pertain to you, just skip over it. If you think it might though, but you're afraid of stepping on toes, ask them first. Say, hey, would you be open for, some suggestions? You don't have to listen, but I feel like if we did this in this way, it might save time or it might streamline things. And then your systems. So in addition to creating systems for yourself and in your business, create systems for current or future team members as well. So set up a team portal with additional learning resources and ask them for input. If you're taking classes or courses that aren't necessarily specific to you, share the information with them without letting them actually take the course, because that wouldn't be cool or fair. But also definitely update them with anything new you've learned that you would like to see them implement in your business, and let them see all of your standard operating procedures so that they can familiarize themselves with every part of the business and be able to maybe wear multiple hats if they want to. Definitely consider their chronology also when assigning them tasks. So if you've got a night person on your hands who sleeps in and does their best work at night, don't send them something at 5 o'clock in the morning and be like, hey, can you get this done by noon? Don't do that. Consider them as well. So the next thing I want to talk about is backup procedures. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's Murphy's Law. And it is true. So for your data, you want to have backup procedures for data. Make sure you have all data and systems in 2 places. Back up everything on your devices and in the cloud. Websites, social media profiles, everything. Make sure you have backups for your websites. Do that automatically. There's certain plugins that'll do it automatically and send it to your Dropbox every month, or do it manually and set yourself a reminder in Trello or Google Calendar or something. Just make sure you back things up regularly. And then absence. In case of your absence or your clients or your team members, who is the next responsible party to accomplish the tasks that need to get done? And how will absences be communicated? So you need to say this too, like, hey, if you're going to be out and it's an emergency, can you just send me a quick email or a text saying, emergency, I'm out? Or if you have a planned vacation or a day off, ask your clients, hey, can you let me know 2 weeks in advance of when I'm not going to be able to get a hold of you for whatever reason? Or your team member, same thing. If you can please let me know 2 weeks ahead of when you're going on vacation so I can plan in advance and pass this off to someone else, that would be great. Sorry, another drink of water. And of course, tragedy. I talked about this a little bit earlier when asking my husband to be my only friend on Facebook so he could take over in case of tragedy. I hate to talk about it, but things happen. So ask who will be notifying you if something tragic happens. Ask your team members, ask your clients. Do you have somebody in place to notify me in case you are in an accident or something like that? Also, ask a family member of yours or a friend to execute your wishes in your business and to notify the appropriate people and how to notify them. So always have people in place that can take care of that for you in case of something happening. And your in case of emergency plan. So not only should your people be aware of this, yourself and your clients and your team members should have their own in case of emergency plan, not only communicated to you and everyone else involved, but in an online and offline, meaning printed in a fireproof, safe document. Give access to a spouse, family member, or trusted friend. List all business-related subscriptions, logins, contacts, and accounts that will need to be handled. So anything that you subscribe to, any credit card information, bank account information, your friends, family members, loved ones, what have you, need to be able to handle the things you have going on in your business if you otherwise cannot. And give very specific instructions and create a system for shutting things down. In case of worst case scenario, i.e. you die, they will be very, very grateful to you if they have a very detailed plan of what they need to take care of, what subscriptions they need to cancel, what your bank account balance information is, your credit card information is, to be able to notify everybody, shut things down, contact your clients, and all of that. So use recordings and screenshots and steps with passwords, because this is very sensitive information. You don't want it getting out there. You don't want it well known. So be selective, but be detailed. And cover your assets as soon as you've got your first client under contract. So if you work with clients one-on-one for any kind of business, whether it's virtual assisting or freelance graphic design or website designing or just consulting, you've got to get business insurance, please. A lot of people don't have it. I guess it's not absolutely necessary depending on your industry, but if someone wants to sue you nowadays, they will. People are sue happy. It's as much as you trust your clients, as much as you may love them, you just don't know. You might really do something stupid and put their business at risk. And then what's going to cover your asset if you don't, if you know what I mean? Okay, so these systems can be used for all sorts of things. If you're selling products, like listing physical or digital items for sale, they can be used for pricing, because when you track your time, you're able to quote services quickly and properly. Systems can be used for routine. So when you know which project will be done on which day, you get in a routine. And routine is good for productivity. They can be used for promotion. So use systems for your own marketing, networking, and outreach, running your own business as well. And for people appreciate consistency and efficiency. Wow your clients and team with how on the ball you are. And refine. So systems can and should be continually refined. They're flexible and can be updated. Here's another quote from W. Edwards Deming from Total Quality Management, which is a book I will link to in the show notes. He says, "If you can't describe what you are doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing." And this is really important as a systems tech virtual assistant for my client. I need to, when they ask me like, okay, I don't understand this, can you please explain? I have to be able to break it down for them and show them not only what I'm doing, but why I'm doing it that way to have any kind of credibility. And it also helps them understand, okay, good, I'm getting what I'm paying for here. She knows what she's doing. If you're not able to do that, you probably don't really know what you're doing and shouldn't be selling your services to other people. Systems help you get results in less time. As you refine and perfect your systems, your dollar per hour increases because you'll spend less time and be able to produce more income. And systems are needed for scalability. They're important for not only growing your clients' businesses fast, but your own as well. Bringing on additional clients and adding team members is much easier when you have standard operating procedures and processes for every single thing you do. Now, if you want to reach out to me for my virtual assistant services, although I'm pretty booked right now, but if you want to get on a waiting list or you just want to ask me about virtual assisting or get some resources from me or anything else, you can reach me at Sherry@iassistvirtually.com. iassistvirtually.com is my website, and you can find me at Twitter at iassist_virtual, on Instagram at iassist_virtually, and on Facebook at iassistvirtually. So guys, I know I run a podcast, I know I have a blog, but this is my main source of income. What I probably spend the most time on every week is my virtual assistant business. So if you want to reach out to me,
I've got, like I said, 4 years of experience. I'd love to talk with you about it, show you how to do this for others. Even if you don't have a virtual assistant business or you're not interested in that, if you have any kind of online business or you're thinking about starting one, I can definitely help you out with that. So reach out to me. And guys, that concludes the presentation. I went a lot longer and more in depth on this podcast / video / presentation for you guys than I did with the IVAA. However, if you go to the link in the show notes for IVAA and you do become a member of them, you can access my Q&A questions or my Q&A session at the end of this where I answer other people's questions. You might get a little more out of it, and I might have touched on certain things I didn't during this time, but definitely check that out. If you want to see all the slides, you can go to the show notes for this page, the video, the audio, what have you. And thank you so much for listening to This Is My Side Hustle. Please subscribe so you don't miss anything. Please rate and review me on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please leave a rating and a review. It really helps. Please share this with others. And if you want to be on the show or you want to hear me cover a topic that maybe you have more interest in, maybe you want me to delve deeper into one of these topics I talked about in this presentation / podcast, please go to makingitpaytostay.com/voicemail and leave me a message. If you go to makingitpaytostay.com/application, you can apply to be on the show. I need people on the show. I really want guests. I want to talk to somebody else because, I want to learn from other people as well. And I feel like the more people I talk to that are also doing stuff on the side or doing stuff online, the more we can help people together. And finally, I have a big announcement. If you go to makingitpaytostay.com/shop, SHOP, you can buy This Is My Side Hustle merchandise now. So I now have merch for my podcast. And not only can you get it with a couple different logos, you can customize it. You can add your name, you can change the colors, you can get shirts and t-shirts and hoodies and aprons and mugs and whatever. So if you get that, that also helps out the podcast. I get a couple bucks for everything sold. I also would love it if I started seeing podcast merch places. So that would be super cool of you. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. It's at makingitpaytostay.com/shop. And this is getting pretty long for one of my normal podcasts. So until next time, this is my side hustle. You know what one of the best side hustles is? Getting cash back for things you spend money on anyway, every single month, all of the time without doing anything different. So for that, I suggest the American Express Blue Cash Card. You'll get 6% back on groceries and 3% back on gas. And every single month, they have over 50 different special offers for specific merchants who are offering cash back on purchases. Sometimes they have minimums, sometimes they don't. But I highly suggest you check into this because there's no better way to assist your side hustle than pay for things you already have to pay for while getting money back that you otherwise wouldn't be getting. So go to makingitpaytostay.com/blueamex. That's makingitpaytostay.com/BLUEAMEX.